The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Tuesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. As always, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. I am Anthony Hartwig. Greenwood goes the extra mile for you, and we try to do the same every day on this show and at YS. And as you can tell, today is March 7th. I want to start my day by humbling myself a little bit. Yesterday, if you noticed, I was one day into the future. I was completely confident that yesterday was the 7th. I mean, I put it on all of our descriptions, and hey, I got hopped in my DeLorean and I went to the future yesterday. But today is March 7th. It is the first full week of March, and you know, you can kind of feel it starting to get warmer a little bit in the weather, so we're excited for what March will bring. We have a great show for you today. We're going to have a little bit, it's going to be a Springfield show. Let's just be real. John Matisse coming on at 1:15 to talk about his regional championship and what it's like preparing for a state semifinal in Dayton. We had a chance to talk with Jamaica Brungard yesterday off the air. We're going to play that interview after coach is squared away. So it's going to be a show where we're going to talk a lot about Springfield and what they've been able to do. But also, we do have regional games tonight on the boys' side. We will preview those games, and we will also no, actually, oh yeah, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the what we're gonna lead off is, let me just we're gonna lead off by talking about our postseason awards. They are officially being introduced one a week this week, as you saw yesterday. We released our YSN 2023 Freshman of the Year winners, and for the girls' side, it was Addison Rhodes from Crestview, and from the boys' side, it was Sam Greer from Archbishop Hoban. When we talk about Freshman of the Year, I think this is one of the coolest awards that we're able to give out because it is hard to come into a varsity level as a freshman and make an immediate impact. I think we're seeing it a little bit more in the last couple of years, but that doesn't take away from how hard it really is. I mean, you think about it. You're playing in 7th and 8th grade. That's when you start to develop those skills that you're going to use at the varsity level, right? So you're starting to play 7th and 8th grade, the competitive, team organized basketball. You're playing against your age. Like, only 8th graders are on the other side of the floor. We've seen a lot of players be able to dominate their own age bracket and dominate in 8th grade. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're come and be an immediate impact freshman season, because the jump between junior high and varsity is so big that you need that buffer of JV in there for most kids to, take a year or maybe two and kind of develop varsity level type skills and work with the varsity level athletes so they're ready to play against, players that are older than them, players that are not on their age level per se or skill level. But here we are in an age where it's getting a little bit more common. Not exactly, I wouldn't say it's not rare still. I think it's still rare to see a freshman come on a team and make an immediate impact, because when you look at all the teams in the area, how many of them have freshmen that have come on and made huge impacts? It's really not that many. I mean, there haven't been a ton. It's not like it's, you look everywhere and you see, oh, that team has a freshman, that team has a freshman, that team has a freshman. But it is becoming a little bit more common. I think we're seeing more growth in the travel basketball world. especially at the younger ages. We're seeing more and more kids be developed and ready to go by freshman season. But that being said, back to my main point, it is a huge jump from junior high, 8th grade to varsity level basketball, right? So to see a kid come in and just be immediately ready to step on the floor and not just survive varsity level basketball, but make a huge impact to their team success is really impressive. So I think that's one of the reasons why we strive to give out freshman of the year during basketball season, because it's hard to do, and we wanted to shine a light on a couple of really good athletes. The first one, obviously, Addison Rhodes from Crestview. I think this one was one where it was kind of she was in discussion from the first jump. If you remember, first game of the season, Crestview plays Badger, who went on to go to a district championship. That tells you how good that Badger team really was. And Addison Rhodes drops a 33 on them the first game of the year. I think that really opened eyes, and she was a part of that discussion from the tip. And she did not slow down. I mean, she averaged over 19 points a game to lead Crestview in scoring. She also averages 8 rebounds per a couple assists, I think 3 steals per game. I mean, she's in the stat column consistently everywhere you look. She has been a staple to that Crestview team. She's a leading scorer as a freshman. So when you talk about making an impact, that's not just coming in and contributing. That's coming in and leading the team, in a team that doesn't have a senior either. I mean, no role models to say, I've been on this team for 4 years. This is how we do things. I'm not saying that Crestview didn't have leaders on the team, upperclassmen for sure. But sometimes it's even easier for our freshmen to make an impact when they have a senior leader that has been in their shoes and came in as a freshman and said, "This is what I went through." But not on Crestview's team this year. No seniors. She came in and she was a leader on the floor. She developed a little bit into a vocal leader and a example leader for these older girls. And it's awesome to watch her shine. I think everyone that watches girls basketball and everyone that kind of understands it watches her play and would agree that if things stay the course, and that's a big if, because we don't know what the future holds, but if things stay the course, then Addison Rhodes could very well be the all-time leading scorer in Crestview basketball by the time it's finished. It's a tall mountain to climb. Chelsea Boker set a really good standard with 2,013 points in her career as a Rebel. But, Addison Rhodes is well on her way, averaging 19 in her first year. She does that for 4 seasons. That 2013 record, and that's not a year, by the way. That's the total points that Chelsea Boker has. But that 2013 record, that's in trouble. That's in trouble. That's in trouble. That's in trouble. And we haven't seen a 2,000-point score, I believe, on the girls' side since Dationette Harris did it for Ursuline. So it's been quite some time. Who knows? Maybe in 3 years we can talk about Addison Rhodes being a 2,000-point scorer. But for now, we're talking about her being a freshman of the year. And what a season that she and the Rebels had. Can't wait to see her develop and continue to hone her skills as a Rebel, as they will try to come back next year and be just as dominant with the same roster. Like I said, they have no seniors. They're not graduating anybody. So Crestview next year looks to be pretty good. We would go to the boys' side, though, talk about Sam Greer a little bit, and he is a presence. I mean, we didn't have Hoban the whole basketball season. We kind of jumped on the Hoban bandwagon, and we signed Hoban about midway through the basketball season, but we were at like the first game we could possibly get at, we went to, and I think it was DJ and Richie on the call for that first Hoban game on YSN on the boys' side, and you knew immediately, oh, this kid, he's different. Like 6'7" post player, dominant inside. He averages 5 and 4 in 19 games. He played 19 out of their 24 so far. So he hasn't played in every single game, but he averages, a really important 5.5 points per game. But he's second on the team in rebounds with 4.1 rebounds per game as well. So he gets on the boards, and what's really impressive about that rebounding stat is over half of them are on the offensive side. And you know how important offensive rebounds can be in basketball. They give your team extra opportunities, extra looks. A lot of good shots come out of offensive rebounds. How many times have you seen a basketball team go into the paint, get the offensive board, kick it out to the perimeter, wide open shooter, bang, three. A lot of coaches will tell you some of the best 3-point looks come off the offensive rebound because the defense is not in their normal positions. They're fighting for the loose ball, and then boom, there's an open shooter. There it is, boom, he can score. So he does a really good job with that. What I've been impressed with watching him on YSN, he's composed with the basketball. He catches the ball, and you see a lot of young posts. What they'll do, they'll catch it, and then they bring it down, right? So when you do that, your 6'7" frame, that advantage goes away, because if the ball's down here, it doesn't matter if you're not 6'7". If you're 6 foot or 5'10", swat that ball right out of the hip, take it away, and you see a lot of young posts turn the ball over that way. But he's very composed with the basketball. He's played in 19 games. He's only turned the ball over 13 times. That's impressive as a freshman to be that composed with the basketball. We said that in his article on YSN. That was one of the stats that I wanted to make sure was highlighted. You're a freshman. You're nervous. You know what I mean? Nerves have to be kicking. You're on the varsity level at Hoban with a lot of really good basketball players, really good athletes. And you are composed with the ball. You don't let that phase you at all. Doesn't turn the ball over too much. Knows what to do with it. I mean, when you have less turnovers than you have games played, that's a pretty good stat as a freshman. I was impressed with that. Obviously with the rebound numbers, he handles the ball a lot. He gets the ball a lot. Second on the team in rebounds, right? So you are touching the ball quite a bit, and you're only turning the ball over, not even turning the ball over once per game, less than once per game. So very impressive freshman Sam Greer from Hoban. We wanted to give our shout out to him and everything that he's been able to do in him. And how about that? He's still playing too. So if you're new to Sam Greer and you want to check out kind of what I've been saying about him, all you have to do is check out tonight. They're going to be playing in the regional semifinals against St. Ed's at Kent State University. Their big stadium down there in Kent, and it's going to be a fun time with Hoban trying to get out of the region and get to state. So we're gonna keep an eye on them. The other game, by the way, at Kent is Walsh versus Stowe. So a very interesting Kent regional in Division I for boys basketball. But we'll move on from that, talking about someone that's trying to get out of a regional in the boys basketball scene, and we'll go right to a coach that has already done it. He has cut the nets down. His team has cut the nets down. We have John Mattizi coming in from Springfield. Coach, how are we doing today, bud?
Feeling pretty good, Anthony. How about yourself?
Has it sunk in yet? Like when did the hysteria of winning kind of settle down and it sink in that you guys are going to state?
I would say for me, probably yesterday. It's just such a whirlwind. On Sunday, we had like a Zoom meeting with the people from the state, from the OHSAA. We had to worry about logistics, buses, hotels. And then we had our league all-star voting on Sunday also. So it was just kind of an all-day administrative kind of thing. Obviously shout out to our athletic director, Bob Beam, for just being in constant contact every day, working his butt off to get us set up and, get us the best possible stuff down there. But really yesterday I was sitting at work and it was just, kind of back to putting a practice plan together and kind of thinking that, we're going to be on that floor, just being in that arena. And it kind of hit me like, wow, this is pretty awesome.
Let's talk about this regional final game. I know we had your post-game interview a little bit, so we got a little bit of an idea of what your thoughts were afterwards, but I want to go a little bit more in depth. You guys came out, you set the tone, you got ahead early, and in a defensive game like you knew it would be. How important was it to set the tone like that and get an early lead against Buckeye Central?
Yeah, I mean, you saw it, points were at a premium. So we just wanted to, I think he said that in his article out in their newspaper about the Western Reserve game. They think they want to really get a lead, come out the first 3 minutes, because that's the kind of style they want to play. They want to play defense. They want to try to make some shots and then stay in front. And so we knew if we got behind, we kind of be behind the 8 ball a little bit. So we wanted to come out strong, get a lead, kind of impose our will, play the way we wanted to play. And luckily we were able to do that.
It seems like in districts and in regionals, both rounds went the same way. In the semifinals, you had to come back from a deficit. And in the finals, you were able to, like you said, impose your will, control the tempo of the game. What kind of thing does it say about your team that you're able to win in multiple different ways? I mean, you can come back if you have to, but obviously you don't want to always put yourself in that situation. The team doesn't always put themselves in that situation. They're able to go out, set a tone early, and control tempo, and like you said, impose their will.
Mm-hmm. We've had to play all kinds of different ways this year. We really, I feel like, up the schedule. We didn't play any Division IV teams in the non-conference, and so we were lucky. We had the opportunity to add 2 schools with Jackson Milton not having a team, and I mean the 2 schools we added were Garfield and Rootstown, 2 really good D3 teams. Garfield won a district. I think Rootstown had 17 or 18 wins. So just to be able to add those teams to your schedule and then add a Crestview and add a West Branch and United, South Range. I mean, we played some pretty good competition, and it's games where we were behind, games where we were winning, and I think we took more from a couple games that we were winning that we lost. Just how we want to finish a game, how we want to not panic in a fourth quarter, and I think all those trials kind of led us to a place where we were pretty confident at the end of games.
You talked about the whirlwind that turns into this week because you guys made it to state, and there are so many logistics about going down to Dayton and making sure that everything's taken care of. Obviously, Bob Beam is a great way to take some weight off your shoulders. But how else have you been able to manage not getting overwhelmed or being caught up in that whirlwind of all the things that have to be taken care of heading down to state, and just focus on what you guys have to do as a team, practice planning, game planning, and things like that?
Yeah, well, if you ask my assistants, I like to delegate as much as possible. So, Diana's kind of the, I don't want to call her the liaison for the parents, but, she's a parent of a couple kids on the team herself. So she handles a lot of the communication with them. My brother Zach does a lot of the scouting, a lot of the game film, um, and then I kind of try to handle everything else. It was just nice after a day and a half of kind of non-basketball things to get back in the gym yesterday. And then, I've had plenty of people reach out, obviously my dad, other coaches that I've known, anything that we can do for you, let us know. So, I mean, it's, anything like this, where you get to this point is going to be by committee.
I was able to talk to Jaminka Brungard yesterday in a player profile that's going to be airing right after yours is done. But one of the things I asked her was who was the first person that she looked to after the buzzer rang and you guys won. Who was the first person you kind of wanted to make sure you embraced or made sure that you wanted to give a hug to after that buzzer went off and you knew that you were going to state?
Yeah, I mean, I think Zach caught me first. After the buzzer went off, everyone's kind of jumping around. You do start looking around, and we caught each other, and it was like, holy cow, what just happened? Obviously it's something we thought we were capable of, but I don't know if anybody ever expects to win that game. So just to do that, then obviously it was nice. They keep everybody off the floor, but my dad and my wife were able to sneak over, kind of while the awards were going on. And just to be able to see them, see my mom after, I had, I don't know, 50 messages after that game was over on my phone. So it just, I think everybody in the area is happy. I think everybody kind of is reaching out. So that it's been a really fun thing.
What's it like knowing that you're at this point, you're the last girls team standing, and now whether they're rivals or whether they're teams that you haven't played yet or teams that you have played, everyone's kind of looking at you, rooting for you guys, and you have like this whole Tiger Nation that wears all these different colors that are wearing orange and black now. What's that kind of like?
Yeah, it's been great. Just a lot of messages from other coaches we played this year. Like I said, we had our league meeting on Sunday for the All-Star voting, and everybody was very supportive there. We had on Thursday night, we're on the way home on the bus, and I get a text from Coach Miller, hey, whatever you need, let me know. He shared some film with us. He shared, a set list with us for what he had on Buckeye. So, I mean, we probably don't want to beat anybody more than them during the season. And he'd probably tell you the same thing, but it's a different time of year. It's tourney time. You want to see your other teams in your league have success. And just to be able to do, have support like that within the league from, coaches in the area is, it's very special.
Before we preview this game against Toledo Christian, I do want to talk about the MVAC kind of postseason awards. And obviously, you were a part of voting for that, like every other MVAC coach. What a great league. What was it like getting together and trying to kind of, work out who deserves what and work out where these players fit? Obviously, so much talent in the conference. What was it like getting together and kind of reflecting on the conference season and all the great talent that you have inside the MVAC?
Hmm. Yeah, well, anytime you could recognize, you know, not only your kids but the kids from the other teams, it's a nice thing, just to be able to, kind of look around. Like, you're in when you're in season mode and you're scouting and you're just doing game planning, 2 days, then games, game planning, you see the kids as kind of obstacles to defeat. But then once you're in a room like that and you're saying, wow, I didn't realize this kid had these numbers, or I didn't realize she was able to do this year. um, it really puts it in perspective how good some of these kids are. And then, getting the list for the All-Star game also, and just seeing the number of seniors, man, this league was filled with some really good seniors. A lot of teams are going to have some big shoes to fill this offseason, but we should have a pretty good team for that All-Star game.
All right, before one last thing about the MVAC, I just want to put you on the spot a little bit. Who was the one player that like impressed you the most, or you think you had to game plan the most as far as the MVAC opponent?
Hmm. Um, Definitely Waterloo. We did some things differently for them defensively than really we've done for any other team this year. I think it's impossible to separate Couts and English. I would say they are. We didn't plan for one of them. They're a package deal. You got to plan for both of them. Rose is so strong with the ball. Really pushes it, really handles it, really runs that team, as well as any point guard we've seen. And then obviously English is, I put her right next to JC with her relentlessness. She really attacks the basketball on the glass, really strong going to the basket. She's somebody that, we don't even want it in her hands, because the damage she can do when she catches is, a lot. So that was probably the biggest departure we had this year from our regular man-to-man, was trying to game prep for them.
Now we have to talk about Dayton. This is so fun. We get to preview a state semifinal. You guys are playing Toledo Christian. I mean, how much have you been able to learn about this team in the last couple of days? And what can you tell us about what Tiger fans should expect out of this team and what kind of obstacles they put in front of you?
Yeah, they have, we've seen just with our schedule, a lot of really good point guard and post combos. And they're probably the top of the list from what we've seen this year. They have a point guard that is very quick, very shifty, has, the basketball on a string, can pretty much you know, do whatever she wants to do with the basketball out on the floor. So she's somebody that we're really going to have all eyes on her at all times. Really try to limit her impact as much as we can. And then they have a pretty strong big girl inside. We usually don't see anybody too much bigger than Jamaica, and she's probably a little bigger than Jamaica is. So, she's very strong inside. She has the moves inside. She can step outside and shoot it. So just the combination of those two, trying to hold them down, is going to be, our biggest test. And then they have obviously role players around them. I think they made 6 threes in their regional final, and those are coming from the other kids. So it's just, we really have to dig in and make sure we know what our game plan is, and we're very sound.
Obviously, when you get to this level, even when you get to regionals, every team that you're playing is good, and they're there for a reason. So that being said, how much of this week in game planning is going to be more focused on what you guys do and trying to focus this on your game, and how much do you still have to scout the other team that's so unfamiliar, like a Toledo Christian?
Mm-hmm. We try to give the girls comparisons, just so, this point guard is kind of like this person we've seen, this post is kind of like this person we've seen, just so they can get an idea. At this point in the year, we have everything in that we're going to need to have in. So we have, the defense we ran against Waterloo, to try to stop a good point guard, and then a really strong post. We have some different traps that we have in to try to stop a point guard. We have some just different things, full court things, that we've used throughout the year, that we can say, hey, remember when we did this? This is maybe going to be on the play sheet for Thursday. Remember when we did this? And it's just kind of getting those things in their heads, cleaning them up, and making sure they're ready to go.
We've talked about the different ways you've won throughout the tournament. How much do you think that experience is going to help you in Dayton? There's bound to be a point in the game when that team makes a run or things aren't going exactly the way you want it. How do you think the experience of the girls already being through that in big moments is going to help them get through it in Dayton?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been the most impressive thing with this group during this run is they have really been unfazed by kind of anything that goes against us, anything that maybe if we get unlucky, maybe a team hits a buzzer beater like what happened in the regional final, and we just kind of looked around and said, okay, that's fine, let's keep going, instead of hanging our heads. Um, I looked up on OHSAA the tournament participants today, and I don't think they were on there. So I think this is the first time for them too. So it's going to be whichever team can, come out and just settle down, settle into the game, play the way they want to play. Whichever team kind of gets into the game first, I feel like is going to have the advantage.
You guys are not alone either. I feel like I think I saw the 7 out of 16 teams in the state semifinals across the divisions are making their first trip to state. So a lot of teams making a name for themselves, and you are one of them. You're leaving for Dayton at 2 o'clock on Wednesday tomorrow. Do you get any time on that floor before warmups for the game? Do you get a practice on that floor? Do you have any time to kind of get familiar with that stage of a college arena?
No, they're pretty much going, all the time out there. So it's, we're not going to have any time when we get out there. We're going to get out there, I would expect around dinner time on Wednesday, grab some dinner, get to the hotel. But, those games start at 11 o'clock on Thursday. So, they'll be starting the games early. We won't have time to get in before that. And then, it's just kind of a normal tournament, 30 minutes before the game starts, we can get out there. We'll try to get as many shots up as we can. I know it's, a kind of different sight lines with the college atmosphere, but, we didn't make very many shots in that regional and we were okay. So we might be okay Thursday.
Is there anything you can do to try to prepare for that at all? I mean, obviously you can't just go and find a college gym and play in it, but is there any way you can try to prepare for like, hey guys, this is going to be a bigger stadium. It's going to be a bigger atmosphere, a bigger kind of stage. This is what we should do to, get ourselves ready for that.
Mm-hmm. I don't think so. I mean, they were obviously looking up like pictures of the arena when we were coming home on the bus, just try to get some kind of idea of what it looks like. But as far as, trying to find somewhere to practice to replicate that or, something like that, we haven't gone that far. We're trying to keep it as normal as possible these next couple of days, do the stuff that we're used to doing. And, we'll take our chances down there when we get there.
All right. After the game on Saturday, I joked that your dad can't brag about being the only person in the family that's made a state run anymore. Obviously, all joking aside, what's it been like to be able to have someone that's right next to you in Coach Matisse, as your dad, to tell you how this kind of goes and what to expect out of going to state and what the experience is like? Obviously, he went to Dayton too. That was the first year they had to Dayton, so he's played on that floor. He's won on that floor. So what's it like to have someone one call away that can tell you exactly how it felt and exactly what kind of things his team went through when they went down to state?
Yeah, I mean, it's just obviously a great resource. I've talked to him every day, multiple, couple times a day since Saturday. Just quick calls, hey, who'd you use for your charter bus? Hey, where'd you stay? What did you do that first night when you were down there? Different things just to see kind of what works and what doesn't. He's someone that's been down there. I've had other coaches reach out and just kind of say, hey, I thought maybe this worked and this didn't work. So we have, I'm very lucky to be, where we're in the area where we have a lot of coaches that some of them have been down there and able to share kind of their experience.
What was it like to have him there for that moment on Saturday, winning the championship? He was in his orange and black. He put that on. He wasn't bothered by the rivalry between you and McDonald. He put the orange and black on. He was there supporting you guys. And what was it like to share that moment with him?
Yeah, it was great. He's obviously the reason we've all gotten into this, into coaching. So just to be able to do that with him in the stands is, something I think I probably dreamt about. I didn't think it was ever actually something that was going to happen. So to have it happen is just extremely special. To see him, in the Springfield colors. Not only him, I have to shout out my mother wearing some Springfield. She still teaches at Lowville. She's a Lowville graduate, so I know for her to put on the orange and black was very difficult. But she was able to do that for us, and I thought she looked pretty good.
I feel that, Coach. Somehow Mr. Lesnack wrote me into wearing orange and black. Told you before the game, as a South Range alum, it's not easy. Not easy, but we are supporting you guys. Before we let you go, what is the thing you are most excited about this weekend? Most excited about, heading down to Dayton and being a part of this experience?
I'm just excited for the community. When we went down there a couple years ago with my dad, just seeing everybody together, seeing everybody celebrating the girls, enjoying the experience. That's what I'm most excited about. We have tremendous support amongst our parents, people in the school, the teachers, the community. So just to be able to, kind of have that payoff for everybody. The parents put in so much time. Now they get to kind of reap the benefit of that by, getting a couple days off. The kids get a couple days off. We get to go and kind of have fun. Like I said, this is a big celebration of this team and what they've been able to accomplish.
All right, Coach. We wish you the best of luck in Dayton. We're cheering for you. We'll be wearing our orange and black from home. I think Noah Doty, we're trying our best to get him down there. So hopefully you'll have a YSN crew down there with you for a broadcast as well. We can't wait to see you when you get back, and hopefully we can talk about a state championship in a couple of days.
Yeah, that would be awesome, Anthony. Thanks a lot.
All right, Coach. We'll see you soon.
See ya.
John Mattizi from Springfield talking to us about the regional final and the state semifinal he's about to play. Obviously, I thought it was a great opportunity to talk about the family affair, and his brother's next to him on the bench. And obviously, he has another brother coaching boys at Southeast who are going to be in the MVAC in a couple of years. So that's going to be fun to watch. And then obviously, Tony Mattizi, his father, has been down to state not too long ago in 2021 with McDonald. So he had a phone call away to someone that can tell him exactly what that experience is like and exactly what to expect, what he felt worked, what he felt didn't. McDonald got a win in the state semifinals before falling in the state championship to Fort Laramie, right? Fort Laramie? Yeah. Okay. Yep. Who lost in the they lost in the semifinals. So Fort Laramie lost in the regional finals, I should say. So they will not be in the state tournament this year. So that'll be someone that we don't get to see. That's a perennial powerhouse in Division IV girls basketball, not making the trip to state. As I said in that interview, I think 7 out of 16 of the state qualifiers this year across all divisions in girls basketball are making their first program trip to the state tournament. So a lot of teams making a name for themselves. Springfield is just one of them. We're going to take a commercial break. On the other end, we'll have Jamaica Brungard. We'll be able to play her interview. I was able to conduct it yesterday after the show. Great interview with someone that has meant a lot to this team and her post presence, her development, physicality, and strength down low in the paint has been paid off dividends for this Springfield team. And that doesn't even include the big clutch points that she was able to score in the regional tournament when Springfield really needed buckets to fall. So we'll hear from her after we get back from this commercial break on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Locally owned and operated, Sheely's relaxed shopping experience means browsing and lounging is always encouraged.
Find Flex Deal and more at Sheely's Furniture and Appliance, because the best things in life happen at home.
How lucky are we to have not one, but two 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring golf instruction by PGA professionals, a state-of-the-art practice range, a PGA of America recognized pro shop, kids programs, and a relaxing grill room for a memorable golf experience. For more information or to schedule a tee time, visit millcreekmetroparks.org.
Fall is in the air. The kids are back to school, crowds are cheering for the home team, and Myers Family Insurance is prepped for another crazy Medicare season. Every year there's changes, some big, some small, so it's important to have a conversation to make sure your plan is going to meet your expectations for the coming year. Give our team a call today to schedule your annual review.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance or visit us on the web. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com.
Going from mindful to mindful sometimes requires a helping, healing hand. Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness offers a continuum of mental health and wellness care. At Insight, we're changing the way you receive counseling and wellness services with experienced licensed clinicians and expertly trained wellness staff. With 4 locations in Mahoning and Columbiana County, along with telehealth services, Insight offers clients quick access to care when they need it. Transform your mental health and wellness at Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you, and we try to do the same here every day on this show and at YSN. We thank Greenwood Chevrolet for their constant support of everything that we're able to do on the network. We have another interview to play for you guys. We're going to stay in the Springfield wheelhouse. They leave for Dayton tomorrow at 2. From the school. If you want to send them off, go head over to Springfield Local High School at 2 o'clock. They'll be shipping off to Dayton around then. So make sure if you want to wave the Tigers off as they go down to the state tournament, to get down to the school at 2 o'clock tomorrow. But before we bid them adieu to Dayton, we're going to hear from Jamaica Brungard, another Tiger that we're able to talk to. And I was able to conduct an interview with her yesterday, right before practice. We thank her for her time, and it was a great interview. Can't wait for you guys to hear it. Here's Jamaica Brungard from Springfield. Anthony Hartwig here with another exciting player profile from the Springfield girls basketball team. I am joined by Jamaica Brungard. Jamaica, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, before we talk about your season and the career you've had at Springfield so far, we have to talk about this trip to state. I mean, you guys are going to Dayton. I know we talked to you after the game. It was kind of the unreal moment where you were living in the celebration. Now that you've had a couple of days to soak it in, what's it feel like knowing that you guys punched your ticket and you are going to Dayton for the state semifinals?
It feels great. I still really can't believe it, but it does feel really good.
When was there a moment, and maybe it was Saturday coming home, maybe it was the next day, was there a moment that it really sunk in that you guys won the regionals and you're going to be in the Final Four in the state of Ohio?
Yeah, I think the bus ride home when everybody was like, calm down, and I just really thought it was like, oh, our season's not we're going to state.
I saw that you guys were able to come home to a pretty good community there waiting for you to get home at the school. What was that like to kind of have a second celebration when you got to the school and be able to see maybe some of the people that couldn't come to your game meet you at the school and celebrate with you there?
Yeah, it was really cool because some people that were at the, I don't know what that's called, but were there at to celebrate when we got home. And it just feels nice because of all the support that we have.
All right, now here you go into game week, and I guess the biggest question is for you and for everybody else, how do you kind of put the celebration in the back of your head and start to prepare for your next game? You got another game to prepare for on Thursday against Toledo Christian. So what have been some of the ways that you've been able to kind of put the celebration away and refocus on the next basketball game?
I've been watching a lot of film, and we're about to get ready to go practice. So I feel like if I just really focus and practice and watch film, then I'm gonna have a good time.
The win earned you more practices. What do you think it's gonna be like being able to get back in the gym and realize that your season's not over and put in some more work this week before you head over to Dayton on Wednesday?
I think practices will be intense, but practices are always fun too at the same time.
Let's talk about this team and the role you've played. Every time we talk to Coach Matese, whether it be in the middle of the season, the beginning of the season, or now the couple times we've been able to talk to him during this tournament run, he's brought up your development and the improvements you've made from last year to this year. What do you think has been the key factor in you being able to improve yourself so much between last year and this year?
Well, I did play quite a bit of travel ball in the summer and in the fall, and also in practices. I really just work on like individual skills sometimes, and that's really helped.
When you look at your game and you kind of think about where you were last year, what do you think is the biggest part of the game that you've grown in over the year?
I would definitely say my scoring. I feel like I'm doing pretty good at that.
Coach Matese always brings up how physical you've gotten and how much you're able to handle yourself against the top level post players that you see in the tournament. How have you seen yourself be able to get a little bit more physical down in the paint and be able to go through contact and things like that?
I just think that we work on it a lot. I mean, in practice, like coach always brings out like the pads and knocks us around. So.
This team, man, the way they've been able to make this tournament run, they believe in each other. I think that would be the biggest thing that I would say about you guys watching. What do you think that comes from? I mean, you trust every teammate to do their job, and it's such a unit. What are some of the main factors in being able to be such a strong unit and unified team?
I just think that our team is just really close, like on the court and outside the court. Like, we hang out a lot outside of basketball, so I think that has to do a big deal with it.
What are some of the things that you've been able to do to build that team chemistry off the court? What are some of your favorite hangouts and favorite team bonding exercises that this team does?
Well, we always see each other at like the football games or like the boys basketball games, and we have a lot of team dinners and team breakfasts, and we go to the YSU game. So.
I think people that were fans of you as an athlete could kind of see that you were going to have a better basketball season even before it started. Back in the volleyball season, you showed great improvements in your volleyball game as well. What was it like to kind of carry that over into basketball and realize that you didn't just improve in volleyball, but you kind of showed the world that you were improving in basketball too?
I just think that I like worked hard in both, and I was excited for basketball to start, so I had like a little bit of like determination.
What was it like transitioning between the two sports and going from volleyball to basketball and having some faces come with you and then having some teammates that are kind of new in the basketball season compared to the volleyball season?
It wasn't that hard. I'd say the only thing that was hard is you have to do a lot more running in basketball than you do volleyball. But yeah.
One of the things that we noticed real quick about watching you in your basketball game as well is the fact that you're energetic. You bring energy on the floor. You bring the pump up. You're always there giving a team a pat on the back or whatever it may be. What do you attribute that to? Where do you get your energy, even in the fourth quarter when your team needs it?
I try my best just to be positive all the time. But I just feel like I can just push people when like they're down or like when we need something. I just like use my voice.
This team has had incredible senior leaders this year that have sometimes they have taken over in games where you guys need a fourth quarter rally. What has it been like to watch them lead you guys and to, see what they're able to do in this senior season?
It's really cool because all of our seniors are just so passionate and they don't want their season to end. And I feel like that just brings like a different energy because we're not just fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for them too.
What are some things that you think you're going to take away from watching them and listening to how they carry themselves into when you're asked to be a bigger leader in the next couple of years as you go into an upperclassman role?
Just to like pick up the younger players because I know that our seniors do a good job of that, like whenever you really need it. So I'm hoping to do that.
Talking about your younger players, even the ones that are part of the process and maybe didn't get on the floor a lot, the bench energy of this team was incredible in those two regional games and the district games as well. How much of a boost is it to look over and after you hit a shot and see the entire bench standing up and cheering and getting into the game?
Yeah, it feels great because at the end of the day, like we're all such a close team and like we all love one another and it does feel good.
You talked about the time that you put in the off season playing travel basketball and working on your game, working on your craft. You don't do that unless you have a love for the sport. So what kind of things made you fall in love with the sport of basketball and made it worth all the time that you put into it?
I played a lot, well, not a lot when I was younger, but my family is like a big basketball. Like my aunt played D1 for basketball, and so did my grandpa. So I feel like them just like pushed me to get like into it helped a lot.
When you see your family and all the success they've had in basketball, what does that make it feel like for you to kind of carry that torch and to be able to, be the next one in your family that's having a successful basketball career?
It does feel good because after like every game, I'll get a text from my grandpa being like, "Oh, you can make it. You did good." And same with my aunt.
As D1 athletes, they've played on big stages. Have they shared any advice about what you're gonna have to do to play on the big stage in Dayton?
They really just told me to enjoy the moment and just give it your all.
You absolutely enjoyed the moment in that regional tournament. What were some of the favorite memories that you kind of stuck in your head of those two games and being able to win in Perry?
Um, I just think after when it was like kind of like a relief, like, oh, we won, and it was like, I don't know, it was just a really good feeling.
Take us back to the final seconds of that regional championship. The buzzer sounds. Who was the first person you were making a beeline to? Like, I gotta embrace this person for your first hug of the celebration.
Ava, pretty hard.
Was it that she was the first in proximity, or was that something like you guys have a really strong connection where that was the first one that you wanted to celebrate with?
Yeah, she was probably the first one I wanted to celebrate with.
Um, when you think about the connections you've made since we're talking about that, who do you think you've gotten to know the most over the course of this season as far as your teammates go?
I would say Ava and probably Maddie Lesnack.
While we're talking about family as well, that Brungard name is a very popular one in Springfield. A lot of success. What's it like to carry that name on your back and be able to be a part of, such a rich legacy and tradition of that Brungard last name?
I think it is cool because all my cousins and like my dad and my uncle all had success, and it feels like good, so I can like carry it on and like making the name proud, I guess.
And we talked about the advice that your aunt and your grandpa was able to give to you, but also you have so many other avenues of advice to go to of really good athletes in that family. So, what is some other advice that you've gotten over your career from family members, from role models that has really driven you forward?
Um, my dad is really supportive. He's always just trying to push me to be my best, but also like understands like whenever I need to take a break. And my mom, she pushes me a lot too, but at the end of the day, they're both really supporting.
I know this is going to be hard to pick maybe one because you've probably gotten a lot of it, but what do you think is like the best piece of advice that you've gotten from them in your career so far?
Um, hmm. I would say my dad, he texts me some long paragraphs sometimes just about like just try your best, do your best, have fun. And he did that right before the regional championship game, and it made me feel like I can take on the world.
This one might be hard too because I'm sure you have a lot of them. But who's your one role model, the go-to person that if you need inspiration, if you need advice, you're definitely going to go to this person first?
Um, yeah, I would say my dad.
What are some? Do you have any stories of ways that he became your role model in your early years of trying to grow up, and some things that maybe he taught you about not just basketball but about life?
Um, yeah, I would say like whenever I was younger and I was just trying to figure this whole thing out, I used to like do gymnastics and like soccer, but then like I grew and he was like, you'd be so good if you like tried out basketball and volleyball, and like he coached me through basketball for like a couple years, and he was just always like there for me and always giving me a lot of support.
And since he kind of pushed you into basketball and volleyball a little bit, which one was the first one that you kind of fell in love with? Was it volleyball first or was it basketball first?
I would say volleyball. Yeah.
What about now? We have to make you pick a favorite. Do you have a favorite sport between basketball and volleyball?
Mm, that's hard, but I think I do like volleyball better. I think I do.
What about your favorite sport to watch when you're not on the floor?
Hmm. I like to watch track, believe it or not. Like watching people run. I just think it's really impressive.
Um, when you saw the student section that was there on, the semifinal and the final for regional in Perry, got a great student section with you guys. What does that mean to you? Knowing that the student body of Springfield has your back and they're there to cheer you guys on.
It means a lot because it's not just like at the game. It was all throughout that week. Like everybody always hyped me up when I was walking through the hallways, and just to see that many people come for our whole team was really special.
And now we're hearing that the community is trying to build up some funds to get a spirit bus for students to get down to Dayton to help you guys on Thursday. What would it mean to you in that Dayton arena to look in the crowd and see a bunch of just orange and black, and especially out of the student body?
Well, we actually did get a charter bus, like a spirit bus, from the way there. So I think it'll be really cool, and just again, really nice if they did come.
All right. So one of the things I want to make sure we ask before we get you out of here, Coach Matizzi has been in this program for 2 years, and he's led you guys to a regional qualifier last year and now a regional championship. What do you think are some of the big things that he's done to this program and he's done for your basketball career that has made you guys come together so much and so successful?
He always has a game plan. He's always very prepared for like practices. Like he's all in all 100% of the time. There's like never like one day that he's just like slacking off. So I'd say huge credit to him because he's a really good coach.
When we asked your teammates that question, one of the things they said is, like you, he puts in his time, and you can see, the players can see that he puts in his time. When you have a coach like that is willing to go the extra mile and put in their time for you, how much easier does that make it to put your own time into basketball and be able to put that extra work into the basketball season?
Um, it makes it a lot easier because like there's never like a day that we're unprepared. Like even after the games, I just like, oh, he uploaded, he made a playlist, so I better watch it.
When you think about your teammates, obviously we've talked a lot about them and the bonds you've made with them. Who are some of the teammates that you think are the funniest in the group, or the ones that can always make you laugh no matter what the situation is?
Emily Garthong, she's hilarious. Um, let's see, and Sammy Schaefer, she's also very funny.
What teammate do you think takes things like the most serious? Like hard to make them laugh sometimes, always in that serious face.
Coach and Jay, probably JC.
Who do you think was the most nervous before that regional final game? Like who had the most nerves going through them?
Anna, she was talking about how she had like butterflies in her stomach.
When you think about who has the best house to hang out with, I'm sure you've been to all their houses and you have some favorites. So who has the best hangout spot?
I'd say Ava's or the Mullins.
You guys have a great parent group as well. What teammate has your favorite parent supporter? They support you guys so much. Which one's your favorite?
I would say Kendall's. Kendall's parents always give us like the best team snacks.
Oh man, what is it about their snacks? Like what do they put in there that makes them above the rest?
Oh, they're just like so good. Like sometimes you get like Chipotle and hot heads, like Chick-fil-A.
That's a good way to become a team favorite. You put Chipotle in that snack bag, then you're good to go. Jamika, before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to thank your support system and all the people that have been there for you throughout the years and continue to support you.
I would just like to thank my teammates and my whole family and my coaches.
All right, Jamika, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Congratulations on the regional championship. We wish you the best of luck in Dayton this weekend, and we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Thank you.
Apologies about keeping myself muted. Rookie mistake. That was Jamaica Brungard from Springfield talking to us about that regional championship win, her season so far, and the developments that she has made from freshman to sophomore year. Can't wait to see her continue to develop as a Tiger as she goes on to play in the state semifinals on Thursday against Toledo Christian. Before we get out of here, let's talk about the game that's gonna be on the network tonight. We go into our games at a glance, and we go into today. It is Lakewood St. Ed's versus Archbishop Hoban at Kent State. We have two announcers there. It'll be Ty Bartell and Dom O'Brien, both on the call. 7 p.m. is the start time in Kent. Regional semifinal is the round, so winner goes to the regional championship between the Hoban and St. Ed's. St. Ed's got to 67-60 win in the district championship to get to this game. Also, we'll have YSU baseball on the network tonight, a midweek game, the first midweek game of the season for YSU. They are going to Kent State as well, and it'll be Richie Giuliano on the call for that one. That'll be audio only, and the basketball game will be pay-per-view. So if you want to watch the Hoban basketball game, one payment of $9.99 gets you access to that game. The YSU baseball game is totally and completely free to you with Richie Giuliano on the call, audio only. Tomorrow we'll have, Thursday, we'll have the Division II regional semifinal with Bucktle against Cheney from the Canton Memorial Civic Center. Jamie Thompson will be on the call as well. So, going to have a lot to talk about tomorrow, results from the game. It's also going to be Wrestling Wednesday with Gary Altizer. We will have from Jackson Milton, Owen McDevitt on the show with us as our special guest for episode 12 of Wrestling Wednesdays with Gary Altizer. But for today, that'll do it for today's show. We thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy the night, and we'll see you